What's up, guys? Masta Styles here, back with another tier list video. It's May, so it's time for me to do my tier list video. I wasn't gonna do it the past weekend, but I knew that the new hero was coming out this week, and I wanted to include him in all of this. So the way that I'm gonna do it this time is that I'm gonna go by class. So we'll go through each class and we'll give each person a tier grade. And if you don't agree with who's in what tier, then comment down below. Let me know how you feel. And of course, like always, if you enjoy the video, make sure you hit the like button. Comment down below your own tier list of who's in your top 5. Right? So let's get to it. So first up, we're gonna start with the assassins. One other thing before all of that, I'll do chapters. So the people that are looking for a particular class, you'll be able to skip through the video and pick out whichever class you want to see. All right, let's get to it. So first up, we have Motoko. Motoko, I'm putting Motoko in D tier. She is a collab hero. You can't access her. She would get a C, but the deduction is because of the fact that you can't access her. She is a C tier hero, don't get me wrong. But I docked her a grade because, again, she is very squishy. She is. And her damage is great, but again, you're not gonna really use her right now. I just don't see you using Motoko unless you don't really have any other good assassins. But again, she is a C tier hero. If she became accessible, then she would definitely be a C because of the damage. But the squishiness too is also why she would be C. But docking her a grade, bringing her down to D tier. Up next, we have Ahsoka. Ahsoka is B tier hero. Again, I like Ahsoka because of her damage. She also have cheat day mechanic. That's the thing that Motoko doesn't have, in her being so squishy too. But back to Ahsoka. Ahsoka's great damage. Again, she also counts for all 3 factions, which is a nice bonus. Yes, she's also a collab hero, but at the same time, she was locked behind a paywall, quote unquote. But with Ahsoka here, she does big damage. She's great for the assassin team. She'll give you that faction bonus, which works perfectly for them, which helps out in increasing their damage. Up next, we have Rickard. Rickard is actually C tier. I would do D, but I know eventually he's going to get Awakening. And there are moments where you do have to pull him out, whether it be Guild Hunt or, it's Endless Battles where they put him in there for the bonus points, 5%. But even in that situation, he could go down to D, because even in that instance where you have to use him in Endless Battles, I don't end up using him because mine is not that great, so I end up putting a support instead of him. So that 5% tend to go to waste. But overall, still a great assassin if you don't have these other 2 here for the newer players. And yeah, that's all I have to say about Rick. Great assassin, but needs to be awakened to get back to those higher tiers. Up next, we have Sam. Sam's A tier. A tier, PvE, PvP. Right now, he's not really usable in Exotic Expedition because his revive is part of what makes him so good. He has 2 revives at EX30. Overall, he's a disruptor. He doesn't teleport as much, so that's one thing to be mindful of. Fade out on him and he goes crazy. Immortal fade out, I should say, not just fade out, and he goes crazy. So Sam, definitely A tier. Like him, love that. Theon. Oh boy. Theon is C tier. Yes, I know you can argue that he's B, but at the same time, the problem with him is that he never really got the proper support because him and Fiona doesn't really, they don't mesh well. If Fiona was a Terran, then things would be better. And that's what I was hoping for Theon, for him to get support, Terran support. Yes, he can use Miranda, but at the same time, Miranda with assassins doesn't go too well, right? But Theon does big damage. There are moments where he out DPS's Dominic, but all in all, I have him in C for right now. He can obviously bump up to B once he gets that proper support. Up next is Helentis, C tier. Great in Hellerina. Not so much in assassin form content because she teleports to the back and then back and then back and then back and then back, and that's what she do. But she can do some big damage if you have you a nice setup, Marauder base, Atlantis, she'll do some big damage. But again, I don't really see myself using her. I don't even have her at Immortal because again, I get distracted by the other stuff that's in the Hellerina shop. But all in all, okay assassin. I give her okay. She's good in Hellerina. Great actually, because she gets all of those additional buffs just for that game mode. She was designed for that anyways. But that is that for Atlantis. Hopefully I didn't miss anything on her. Right, I know. If you're asking, oh, you want to see gears and things along that lines, I actually have a class breakdown video. I didn't do assassins yet, but I have tank support, energy, hunter, and summoners. I am missing the new summoner that came out, so that's the only person that's not on there, but you can check out his EX30 video. It's somewhere in the playlist. You gotta go check it out. You gotta do something. Come on. Next we have Bailey. E tier. Yes, yeah, there are instances where you pull him out, right? A lot of retirement. He needs awakening for him to come up to even have this conversation. Yes, you're gonna argue with me. Bailey shouldn't be no, E tier. You're just not using him. Let's be honest. Where are you using him? You're not. You're just not. Don't argue with me about that. And he doesn't really bring anything to the assassin team other than his extra teleports. I would rather use everybody above than him. So E tier, I'm not gonna give him no more energy until he decides to wake up from his slumber, right? Then he can go up to higher tiers. Last but not least is Dominic. Dominic is S tier. That's all I have to say. Nah, I'm messing with you. But Dominic, great. Kind of fell off a little bit. Don't get me wrong. Dominic is still great. But there are instances now where, for me personally, I don't use him as much. Because again, even in endless battles, those were the premier places to use him. There isn't room to use him because again, you want to put all of the 5 heroes that are going to give you that bonus. What they could do is make him a 6 hero in PvE. He'll be the first one. I could see him doing that in Awakening, but Awakening Dominic is going to be crazy. Going to be crazy. He's already S tier anyways, but it will take him to S tier, upper S tier, right? But all in all, great hero. You need him for the assassin team. I don't use him, but that's other people. They're still using Dominic. I don't use him on my assassin team. Just saying, because I run all Windfear. But that's just me personally. And again, when it comes to Dominic, his main feature is his mark. Once his marks explode, that's when he does the big damage. So it's kind of hard to out DPS him because he feeds off of the other assassins. So that's the assassin class. You see, everybody got their grade. And now we're going to move on to the hunter. So first up, we have Mariami. Mariami's E tier. I'm not going to put any energy into her. Just E tier. She needs to be awakened. I've never really used her. Never. I've never been in an instant where I use her. We're just going to get the E's out the way. Up next is Zyda, E tier. Also, Vigor, E tier, right? Just get them out the way. You're not going to use them unless you're early game. Not much to say about them. What else we got? We have Emma. I would give Emma D because again, eventually she'll get awakening, and I just understand why they haven't awakened her. She's on everything. If you go into their page, they always have pictures of Emma, so kind of interesting that they haven't. But with her, big damage, but you're probably not gonna end up using her because there's better hunters out there. So again, Emma's great. I don't have her at Immortal. I was slowly working on her, and then the Awaken right there. So again, when it comes to Emma, D tier. Once you get her awakening, per usual, she'll move up into higher tiers. So up next, we have the collab hero. I'll just give her D because there was one instance where I used her and she did something. That's really why I give her a D. Other than that, she'll be an E. And I'm thinking about it because she's not accessible. She would get it. She should get an E, to be honest. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments how you feel about her. Should she be in the D tier or E tier? You let me know. But I'm going to give her a D for right now. Not really much to say about her because, again, you're not really going to use her. There's 4 other good hunter heroes. So we're going to hop into those 4 hunter heroes right now. So first up, we have Arcadia. I give Arcadia a C. Yeah, because of her revivability, and also if she's on that hunter team that I've seen a couple of hunter teams that run her because of Ryzera's flaws, and you get that additional faction bonus of PvP. She kind of got, pushed to the side a little bit because of Ryzera's awakening, and, Rebecca's so good and Vaz is so good. Again, if I had a 4th slot, I wouldn't really think to pick her. I would probably put in another support or maybe something else. But again, she does have that revive, big AoE attack, but her damage is not great. That's what the problem is. If her damage can become better, then she'll hit some higher tiers. But overall, she's a C. Could be a D too. True. But then let's just finish off the hunters. There's 3 hunters left. Let's see where they go. So first up, we have Rebecca. Rebecca's A tier. Rebecca's A tier, single target damage, amazing at that. Only other person that can really compete with her in terms of single target damage is Dominic, but Dominic is based off of his mark. But all in all, she also brings her barriers. Would be interesting if when she gets awakened, she gives it to energy heroes too. That would be cool. But again, I talk about awakening because it's one of the functions that some of these other heroes need. But A tier in terms of her damage, her support ability for the hunter team, and of course, when she gets to EX30, those barriers do energy regen. So great there, like Rebecca. But overall, great hunter hero, Rebecca. At first, I wasn't really fond of her, but again, Exotic Expedition is what made me like her a lot because she definitely helped out with the panda situation. But with the new Exotic Expedition season coming out, this tier list may not sync up with that because, again, the value of some of these heroes may go down depending on the Exotic Expedition. Of course, Holy Land, that's also going to play into all of this. So again, 2 more hunter heroes and then we'll move on to energy. So we have up next Vaz. Vaz is A tier. Vaz is A tier because, again, his tankiness up front, hunters need that. And if you don't have Vaz on your hunter team, you're gonna struggle because you need somebody up front. Remember, Rebecca jumps back and you need someone up front. Vaz can work 2 ways, Murata set or Unleash, right? Big damage. My only complaint about Vaz is that for his ultimate, I wish they had execution on it because there's a lot of instances where he just need that one more spear to take out that enemy and it just comes up short. So that's my complaint with Vaz, but overall, great hero. He's the only hero that can solo EX3 Censora Marsh. Yeah, he can solo it by himself. I think at EX30. Immortal. Obviously, you have to be immortal to be EX30 anyway, so there's no point in saying immortal, right? But that is Vaz. Up next, we have Ryzera's. Ryzera's is S tier. Trust me, she is. The reason why I say that is because originally I was looking for that big damage and I found it. When we were facing Panda back in the previous season of Exotic Expedition, Ryzera's was the one. And the thing about Ryzera's is if you put a fully tempered fade out set on Ryzera's, when she comes back to life, she starts ripping. And that's where her big damage comes from. She's gonna help you out in endless battle where there's hunter form content. She's gonna be the one that does the most damage if you have her at higher awakening levels, 7 and beyond. Obviously, she's gonna be wrecking stuff. So again, I definitely have her in S tier because of the damage that she can produce. You may not see it when you get to 6 and you're like looking for it because that's kind of what happened to me. But I'm telling you, once you put that fade out on her and you get her to the higher, to Awakening 7, that's when you start to see that big damage. So, all right, that's it for Hunters. Everybody's in their class. Hopefully you're satisfied with that. If not, then you can talk to me down in the comments. You already know what time it is. So up next, we have Energy. First, we're going to get the E's and D's out the way. We're not gonna waste too much time on them. First up, Nautilus, E. Who else is going to E? Luke. We'll give Luke a D because again, there may be a couple of few instances where you use Luke. New player, most likely that's for them. We also have Ravenna. Ravenna is interesting. I have her in D right now. If you're watching this in the future where Ravenna is awakened, right? We're gonna go off of that premise. I would put her in, I wanna say A. Don't wanna give her S yet because I don't really know what the abilities look like in this current instant, right? But if it gets to a point where she gives those additional damage that she does that she has in her kit to the energy team or some type of damage reduction to the team, she could be S tier, right? But she'll be right in between A and B after awakening. Once I see the skills in, that could be determined if she's A or pushing more to lower S tier. So for right now, in her current instant, if you're watching this in the future, don't say why you give her a D. No, this is based off of the beginning of May. So again, D tier for Ravenna. So let's move on. Up next, we have Jaina. Jaina's A tier. I know you're like, why didn't you give her the S tier? Awakening Jaina is going to be S tier. Point blank period. Point blank period. You already know. But again, in the instance where you're running an energy team, it's going to be tough to put Jaina on there because of take. That's why, right? You're not going to put Jaina on there. Obviously, she'd be great. Don't get me wrong. She is great. In an instance where you need big AoE damage, Jaina is the person to go to. She's the queen of AoE until Ravenna gets awakened. Then she'll have some type of competition. But Jaina, big damage, very squishy, like very squishy. And the fact that she's not Atlas, she can't get that protection from take. And that's kind of why she's in a situation where she is. She would be easily S tier. Again, I give her A tier. Can't give her the S because, again, on an energy team, it's very hard to even squeeze her in there. Maybe with Awaken 7 Miranda, then you could possibly squeeze her in there. But for right now, she is definitely A tier. Right? So that is that for Jaina. Big AoE damage, queen of AoE damage, like her. But again, she has to fall into that A. Carriolis, A tier. Because of his passive. Just for his passive alone. Because that passive right there is what's going to help you right now with what you're currently dealing with the tank meta. Because he protects the middle and the back line from charge effects. And Teresh don't care about anybody else. He'll throw anybody next to him over there. So definitely Carriolis, just for his passive, I'll put him in A tier. His damage is okay, it tapered off. It's not as crazy as it was when he first came out, but big damage there just for his passive. And the good thing about him having a passive like that, it's hard for him to get power creep. And he also works on different teams. Any instance where, you're utilizing one team, which is only Arena, Carriolis will definitely help you out to deal with the pesky Teresh throw, right? So that is that. That's really why he's up there. But somebody's gonna disagree with me on that. All right, next is Nord. Nord right now, in his current state, I'll give him a B. I was gonna give him a C, but again, his survivability is great. Take brought him back to a B. If Take wasn't in the game, he would definitely be C, pushing down towards a D. Yeah, disagree with me if you want. But I don't really see me using Nord. Even on my energy team, I don't use Nord. If you see my energy team, there's no need for Nord. I use Ray up front. Yeah, I do. But again, Nord, great hero. Still haven't seen his banner in almost 6 months or however long. It's only been out twice. But bring him back. That's why I wanted them to awaken him. So we're gonna move on. Time is ticking. Next we have Shinji. Shinji is B tier too. Again, couple him with Ray, put Ray up front. If you're looking for an energy team, put Ray up front, put Shinji in the back. Ray stays in the Guardian state until Shinji's dead. There you go. Take reduced damage, he can heal and provide to the team. And put Piran over there and everything is culture. There you go. I'm giving the keys to making an energy team that's not the typical Nord up front. Okay? But Ray's great. Collab hero, again, would be A tier, but accessibility. So you get a deduction in your grade because, again, you cannot get Shinji right now. So B tier overall, could be C too, just for the accessibility. But that is that for Shinji. Up next, we have Take. Take is A tier because of the damage that he can put out and what he provides to the team. I shouldn't say team, Atlas Energy Heroes. It should have just been Energy Heroes. Why did it get locked into a faction? And even when it got locked into a faction, I wish it was just Atlas Heroes, right? But again, Take is awesome, big damage. You're definitely going to use him when it comes to energy. If there's energy content, you're gonna use Take because there's big damage, and most likely because you use Nord with him too, right? So that is that. That is energy in a nutshell. So we already did Hunters, we already did Assassins. Next up is Vanguard. So for Vanguard, like always, let's get the D's and the E's out the way so we don't spend too much time on them. First up, we have Bato, E. Don't talk to me about Bato. Also, Greet, E. The collab hero, I'll give him a D. I don't use him. I've never used him before. I just don't know what he brings to the table. I don't use him. So I'm giving him a D because I think he's better than Bato. I've seen him used in a couple of instances. I would go with him over Bato, even though I don't even use him at all. Guan Poop. Or Guan Yu, sorry. Excuse me. Guan Yu. You already know. Put him down there. E. I'm not even going to talk too much about them. All right, let's go back to the 5 that actually is relevant and you want to talk about. So first up, we have Claire. So last time I gave Claire a C. People didn't like that. They think that Claire is B tier, right? Okay. So based on the current game right now, in terms of usability for Claire, where are you using Claire? I'm gonna ask those people that disagree. She's a C. I'm giving her a C until she proves to me otherwise. Yes, she's great. She does big damage. But for me, I'm not using her. Where am I using her outside of Vanguard content? Right? Just ask yourself that. It's based off of, this whole tier list is based off of usability too. Right? So again, where are you using Claire outside of that? Yes, she's gonna be on all the Vanguard teams, but again, having her on a Vanguard team, you're not even gonna get no additional faction bonus. That's the other time, because we don't have any other Terran Vanguards. So she's not gonna bring anything to a faction bonus. You're not using her outside of Vanguard content. In PvP, she's just in there because she's a Vanguard. So you tell me. Again, if you want to give her a B, let me know down in the comments, because I don't use her outside of Vanguard content. I'm not pulling up Claire. Come on now. So if you don't like that, it is what it is. All right. Barag. Barag is a thorn in my side. I've never seen a hero that's so annoying on the enemy side of the battlefield. So for that reason, and I know there's a chance that he could be the one that gets Awakening. And if he gets an Awakening in the month of May, right now, I have Barag at a C. But with the Awakening, it will probably go up to S tier. Yeah, because it's just one of those instances where he'll kill the people in the middle row, the back row, because he has this move that he has. I would have to look at his skill, but that move there, just, oh my goodness. If you face Barag in Exotic Expedition, you know what I'm talking about, where you just see one of your heroes in the backline just dies. That's Barag. That's his doing. So for that alone, C tier for right now, because of use cases. And you're not really using Vanguards right now. So you can argue with me all you want about PvP. Come on, just don't. Ares B tier. We're gonna move on. Ares is B tier. Definitely a beast still. Immortal 5 Ares, A tier, right? But most people don't have an Immortal 5 Ares. Neither do I, so I can't really speak on that, right? But Immortal 5, definitely A tier, or B tier, higher B tier, I should say, right? If you want me to do that too, like higher and lower. I don't really care for that, because that's more work for me, right? And what are you giving me in return? Are you gonna like the video, right? Exactly. So that goes back to that. Ares is great. In the beginning, I thought he was trash until we found out that Immortal 5 Ares is the Lord of Apocalypse. But that is that. I don't want to go too long on this, but B tier for Ares. Up next we have Zane. Zane's A tier. His damage is just too crazy. He out DPS's even an Awakened 7 Leo. Yeah, he can. In most instances, he is the top damage dealer. Yeah, DPS is most of these Vanguards in Vanguard content. A little squishy at times. He is. Tend to be the first one to die, which kind of unfortunate, but he is pretty good. He's still good though. Leo. Leo. S tier or A tier? S tier or A tier? A10 Leo, S tier. But I don't have an A10 Leo. I have an A9 Leo. So the question I'm asking myself, is my A9 Leo A tier or S tier? And this is where it gets tricky. Yeah, S tier. You can argue with me all you want. A9 Leo is pretty good, but A10, you know you eventually get there, and it's accessible. You just have to focus in on it. So I'm gonna give him S tier just for that, because it's accessible and you can do it. You just have to focus in him to awaken intent. So A tier, damage, man, cheat that mechanic built in, loving it. So definitely there. I like him at S tier. It's pretty good. All right, so we got all of those other classes done. Next up, we'll have only 3 more classes to go. 24 more heroes remaining, and we'll start up with support. So first up, we have Bada, E tier. Annie. I give Annie a D tier because, again, you can convert Annie into limited tickets. Just for that reason alone. Usability, there's a reason, right? And then after that, we have 6 other supports, right? This is gonna be the fun part. So first up, the obvious is going to be Rez. So for Rez, right now, I'll give Rez C tier because, again, his awakening stuff, I don't think it works because I've never seen Rez explode. You tell me down in the comments if you've ever seen Rez explode at the end of any instance. I've never seen it. I've tested it and I haven't seen it. So forget, again, of course, Rez should be B tier. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that I don't see any of that awakening mechanic working, right? I don't see it working. So for that reason alone, I'll put you in C. Of course he's B tier. I know he is. But I need them to fix the awakening for him. Go back to it, re-look at it, and making sure everything worked correctly. But again, with Rez, you know, you couple him with Panda, you couple him with Nord. That's a great combo there. One other person I was thinking is actually Orton, the new hero. You couple him with that guy because, again, every time he does his ultimate, he increases the tank's damage by 24%. Let that sink in. So again, I know you want to hold on to your Panda, but just think about that for a second. So again, C tier until they figure out what's going on with his awakening, because I haven't seen that explode. So for that alone, you know, and again, outside of tank content, I don't really use Rez, to be honest. But if you do, you already know what to do. You know what we can talk. We're gonna have a crazy discussion in this comments. I can already see it. But anyways, let's move on. So up next is Fiona. Fiona's B tier, not A. Assassins is kind of, you know, on the lower end right now. They'll eventually make their climb back to the top. But again, the Fiona and Purin combo with 3 assassins work through 16. You can't do that in 17 for Twilight Lands. You're not doing that. That's not working, right? So again, value drop there. You can't really use her in this current season of Exotic Expedition because the assassins, their main mechanic is pretty much what? The revivability. And once Sam dies, next one to die. And again, with her, she don't work with people that don't do displacement. So for that alone, I'll still give her a B tier because she isn't a support and we only have a limited amount of good support. So again, she definitely brings her invincibility to the table, which helps out with the assassins. Assassins are good, but they need to get back to being great. They need an awakening over there, not Korra, because not everybody's going to invest that much into awaken Korra. We need a regular triple S awakening for the assassins or a new hero. Next up, we have Purin S tier, right? Reason why I give Purin S tier is because, of course, the damage increase, damage reduction, all of that fun stuff that she brings to the table, and of course, the energy regen. My problem with Purin right now, I'll say it right now, is her healing. So there's a lot of situations where I have to opt out of using her because the damage is coming in so fast that she can't heal through it, and the damage reduction is not enough. So again, I will opt out to use 2 supports, then use Purin, because what's the point of me gaining increasing damage and the energy regen if I can't survive? And she's gonna end up dying. She's always the first one to die because, again, she doesn't get the protection from either, if I'm running summoners, she don't have that protection because summoners, they distribute their damage across everybody because of Ruler's Ring, right? But she's not a part of that, so she ends up dying because the damage is coming directly to her. So again, still S tier, don't get me wrong, just complaining about what I have to go through, especially through Exotic Expedition. That's primarily where my issue is, and of course 17 of Twilight Lands and 18 if you make it that far. Doubt a lot of people are even at that point. That's whale Kraken territory. But again, Purin's still S tier. Love that about her. And up next we have Miranda. Miranda's A tier. Awaken 5 and beyond, A tier. Awaken 7, potentially S tier, right? Yeah, I could say that because of what she brings to the table. But right now, getting her to Awaken 5, A tier. But again, right now, until Holy Land contracts come out, we won't really know what the situation is going to look like for Awakening material. So again, she's pretty good. She works with energy. She works with the hunters, and she could work off of other teams. And I feel once you get to Awaken 5, then you'll pretty much start using her on different teams for the shields and the damage reduction from her shield, the big shield, right? But all in all, still a great hero. Even without the awakening, I find myself using her more, which is great. That's what I love to see. Awakening heroes make it so you use old heroes that you haven't really used that much. Maz, A tier. Could argue that Maz is S tier too, because again, I find myself using him a lot more too. Yeah, I do. And I'm thinking about it. Yeah, that's a bold statement. Yeah, no, because I'm thinking, because if it's usability, S tier. I'm gonna give him to S tier because of the PvP portion, because every PvP team in Arena pretty much have Maz on it. So for that alone, right? If you're gonna give Purin S tier, you gotta give it to the man Maz for PvP. And I'm using him where I wouldn't use Purin. Think about that. So for that alone, S tier. Yes, I said it. You can disagree all you want. S tier for that man. Give it to him. And Canis, A tier. Definitely. Make the tag team much better. And the thing about Canis is he is the number 1 damage dealer in the support class. Like, they're not even close. Like, he's the only support that will put up 1 billion damage. Like, think about that. A support that does 1 billion damage. I know it don't sound like a lot, but for a support, that is huge. Most support only do 100K or 100,000, or if you even get to 1 million. But 1 billion, come on now. For that reason alone, A tier. All right, we have 2 more classes. We're gonna do rapid fire here because there's a lot to cover. There's 58 triple S heroes in the game. Let that sink in. So let's move through here quickly. So first up, we have Skur and Hattie, E tier. Need to be awakened, right? Summoner class is pretty good. Cervelli, C tier. Because she works well with Ampu. There are instances where you don't use Piran, you use Cervelli. Great, right? She scares me when I see her in Exotic Expedition because she wiped out my whole team with that her ultimate, that green circle you see there. Once they walk into that, they all died. Like, whoa, caught me off guard. But that is that. Dorelli's B tier, because you're gonna use Dorelli even though, you know, depending on the situation, you'll use Dorelli, you'll take out a mod, you put in a mod, and it just goes back and forth. So we're just gonna go through the summoners real quick. I know if you want me to talk about summoners again, I'll make a whole video about it, but I'm running low on time here, so I'm gonna go rapid fire. Sif. No, get out of there. No, C tier. Because again, it's one of those situations, the switch. Who are you using? Who's the bonus going to? This is more endless battles. I'll use Sif within some instance. I don't use her as much because Dorelli brings the increase to the summoner. She doesn't really bring anything to the team other than the fact that she has the pebbles that comes up and big old Gobo that's somehow squishy now. So C tier. All right, there's 4 left. Let's talk about the meat and the potatoes, right? Is that's the word? All right, so first up we have Amat. Amat's, man, that's tough. B tier. If Drax wasn't there, she would be A tier. B tier, again, because there's instances where you don't end up using her because you'll have to swap her out because it's single target. Single target situation, you're not gonna use Amat, you'll end up using Daniel instead. And this is kind of the summoner team. It's plug and pay. Who works best, where, what, and when, right? So again, B tier, you can argue with me all you want. Okay, I'm going rapid fire here. Of course, we have Jack City, A tier. Great, love him. Use him a lot in many a situation, even outside of the summoner team. Couple him with Wampu, great, beautiful hero. Love all that he brings to the table. Up next, Daniel. A10 Daniel, could argue low S tier, right? But for right now, A tier. I don't have an A10 Daniel because again, I have to spread my resources out. I make content for you guys, so I can't really full on go into Daniel. But again, Daniel at A10 is definitely S tier. But for right now, we're just gonna stay with A because there's instances where I don't use him because I don't have the space and I want to make sure Ampu has the proper pieces around him to amplify his damage. And speaking about Ampu, S tier. Yeah, S tier. You use him everywhere. Damage is great. There's his ability to nullify your max HP is amazing. That's what makes him so great, right? And his damages and the knockbacks, wow, just great. All in all, S tier. That's all I have to say. Big damage. Get him to Awaken in 10 if you are thinking about which hero you want to bring to Awaken 10. He's a great candidate. Get him there. All right, let's move on to the tanks and then we'll get on out of here. So first up, we have the tank class is very interesting. We have Zyda. I'll give Zyda a D. Not gonna give her an E. Eventually she'll get Awakening, but that's that. Then we have Tachikoma. I'll give Tachikoma a C. Tachikoma's pretty good. If you can get Tachikoma to Immortal EX30, you get those additional shields, which will help out with the survivability of the tank team, right? Definitely Carabin is a C, could be low, down to a D. Again, what does he really bring to the team outside of his teleporting to the enemy with the lowest HP? Used to be the backline, most likely will be the backline, depending on who you're facing. If it's Vanguards, the support will have the lower HP, so it will help out there. But again, he's the one that got kicked off the tank team. Yeah, we don't really use him now because we have a new one. Ray, B tier. I like Ray. I'm big on Ray. Would be A tier, but the deduction of the accessibility, that's why. Because I use him on my energy team with Shinji, because him and Shinji go up together. Ray stays in the Guardian state till Shinji dies, or vice versa, or he dies. Then, you know, it doesn't matter then. All right, 4 tanks left. Let's get to it. So first up, we have Teresh. I still give Teresh is still out there because of his throw, his passive. I could even argue that he's A tier. His passive is great. Love that about him. And, obviously, one thing about Teresh for newer players, be mindful that if the person next to him dies, he throws the person with the highest HP. And if it's a situation where your support has a higher HP than other heroes, he's going to throw your support into the enemy backline. But when they drop over there, they do have a 3-second stun, and they also have invincibility. But 3-second stun, and then after that, your support's probably going to die. So chances are, make sure you put somebody who can survive over there and who will survive long enough for him to do that throw. And it's 5 seconds. If you can't survive 5 seconds, you're probably going to lose the fight, right? That's that for Teresh. His passive is what makes him great. And of course, his circle from his ultimate does double damage for melee attackers. So up next, this is the interesting part, right? This is where it gets interesting. And this is probably where you scroll all the way to the end just to see. The new hero's here, and I haven't put him here for this purpose. So up next we have Panda. Panda is A tier. Panda is definitely A tier for what he brings to the tank team. He's amazing. He didn't get replaced. I was just cheesing you guys because I know if I put that there, you would want to click on the video. It wasn't clickbait. I was just saying that based off of, a new hero coming in and who was getting replaced. It was Carabin, actually. Get him out of here. Only thing that's tough with Panda in the tank team now is just the fact that he doesn't gain the spirit from the new tank hero. But Panda is great, still great. His EX30, which you need to get him there, gives the magnetic pulse to all the tanks, and that's where they get most of their damage from. So again, with the new hero coupled with him, tank's only going to do more damage. So again, Panda's great, A tier, of course. Could even argue that he's S tier just off of the notion of him being on the tank team and how much of a linchpin he is to the tank team. He's not going anywhere. Wamigan. I would argue that Wamigan is S tier. Awakened 10 Wamigan? Oh my goodness. I have an Awakened 7 Wamigan. And I'm talking about, I've seen Wamigan just get thrown by Teresh and go into the back line and just destroy everything with one tail swipe. So again, if you don't have your Wamigan at Awakened 7 and beyond, you might want to get him there. Because I'm telling you, we're headed into the tank meta. We were already there anyways. But tanks are going to be doing a lot more, especially with the new hero. And we're going to talk about the new hero in a second. But if you watch a couple of my videos, you know how I feel about Wamigan in terms of his survivability. After they did that update, definitely his survivability got way better. So again, Wamigan Beast and A10 Wamigan is a whole nother animal. So for that reason alone, I'll definitely give Wamigan S tier. So the moment you've been waiting for, new hero, welcome to the game. Where do you fall? Right? Based off of what I've seen, when using him, where do you fall? So for me, right now, I want to give him a B. I would have put him in A tier, but again, we need to figure out what that passive is. Maybe it's a translation thing where it's supposed to be just tanks, right? Or if it happens to be Windfear and Atlas Heroes, A tier, because then you can run him on a different team. So obviously his exclusive effect increases the damage of tank heroes. I think it's locked into Atlas and Windfear. I think it's tank heroes. I can't remember off the top of my head. I would have to go back and look at it. But with him, if you couple him with Rez, like I mentioned earlier, he can do his ultimate faster, which would increase the tank's damage by, hear me out here, 72% if he does his ultimate 3 times. Yeah, what is the problem with the tanks? Their lack of damage. So again, I'm gonna try 19 again for Battlefield of Zalora, and this time I'm gonna put Rez in there, and I think that's what's going to make the difference in me beating it. So this is a tier list for the month of May. If you disagree with me, you already know what to do. Comment down below. And if you made it this far, comment S tier, because S tier just got a lot bigger. Yeah, it's growing, and I love to see that. But again, If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it. I'm getting close to that 600 mark. Help me out, guys. I need it. Share the video, like the video, comment down below for those that are rocking with me. Without further ado, I want to thank you for watching. Till the next video, peace.